I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Global Book Network, we're taking a flight into an unforgettable true story of courage, survival, and faith. The name of the book, A Rock in the Clouds, A Life Revisited. It is written by a terrific author, a terrific man. His name is U.S. Army Colonel Joseph Tedeschi. In the book, he chronicles the harrowing 1966 plane crash in Vietnam that claimed 13 lives and the extraordinary journey of one man who lived to tell the tale. This inspiring memoir explores resilience, recovery, and redemption in the face of trauma, leaving readers moved and motivated. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him on TV today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Colonel, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Logan. It's great to be here.
Great to have you on the show, sir. What do you remember most vividly about that horrific crash?
My goodness. Of course, it happened so suddenly. And I was one of the few conscious people following the crash. Um, I guess the resilience, the attempt to rescue, the camaraderie of people knowing we were down, and the most vivid thing was the rescue operation immediately following the crash. And then there were many memories after that when I went through medevac channels. Uh, I would say meeting Hitzi Westmoreland, who gave me a bath, which I describe in the book. I think that stands out for me.
Amazing, amazing. So there's a horrific crash. You're one of the few people conscious. 13 people are dead. And then rescuers come to extricate you. Tell us about getting out of that plane.
Yeah, immediately following the crash, as I say, I was one of the only conscious people, one or two conscious people, and they knew we were down. My daughter's handing me a note here. Take your hand off the mouse. Okay, I'll take my hand off the mouse. uh, she, they knew we were down, and so it was 30 minutes from the time the crash, and the first American voice outside the airplane. I wasn't sure who was going to come and rescue us first, whether it was going to be the Viet Cong or the people in the base camp. Fortunately, they knew we were down, and they started people running up the hill. And then following that, they tried to get us out of the crash scene. They brought in power saws and searchlights and different other things to light up the scene. But it was, and then they brought in helicopters. They attempted to cut down trees to bring in some helicopters to medevac a la MASH, trying to medevac people out, but it wouldn't work. And the blades were still clipping the trees right above me. Then they decided, because it was getting dark, they had to man pack us to the top of the mountain. And that took about an hour and was a interesting experience, being man packed to the top of the mountain. From there, they had helicopters who picked us up from the top and then brought us back to the base camp hospital where they looked after us. So,
Tell us about your injuries. Were you seriously injured?
well, we had everything from one man who actually had his rifle, because of the force of the impact, the muzzle of the rifle went right through him. And this man survived. He saw in this pile of people that ended up. The airplane was absolutely clean when after it crashed. The force of the impact took all the seats, the bucket seats, everything, and just cleared it to the front of the airplane. So there was just a big football pile of people and seats, and this poor man was with his rifle through him. could see me, but I couldn't see him. I couldn't get, my leg was out of my hip. And all I could do was crawl around and try and help the people immediately around me. I was able to get a bandage on one of the men's head, about a big gash. But he kept crying to me, and then eventually his cries went away. Um, but they got to him. As soon as they got there, I told them, please, there's a guy in that pile that's got a rifle through him. And they were able to get him out. Fortunately, they just didn't take the rifle and pull it. That would have killed him. They took the stock group off and they taped it in. And then here's one of the guys they had to man packed to the top of the hill. So that poor guy went through a tough, but he survived. He survived. They missed his spinal cord, his spleen. It got some of his spleen, but he survived.
You
Wonderful
say
story.
when you say man packed, does that mean carry you over the shoulder or something?
Exactly, Logan. Yes, it was about 7 or 8 men per, because it was so steep. Literally, my head was almost vertical all the time we were going up to the mountain. So, and these guys had nothing but flashlights, and there was no trail. It was just going to and so they had to work their way around boulders and so forth. But they got us to the top, and in fact, there's a picture in the book of the top of this Hong Kong mountain where we had a signal operation up there, tents and some radars, and but the last 30 feet is just almost vertical. So
Mhm.
these guys had to literally form a human chain and then just lift us one at a time over to the top, and that was quite remarkable, I must say. But they got us. They survived. We survived.
Amazing, amazing. Did they ever find out the cause of the crash?
Oh, it was a clear case of, I hate to put it this way, a pilot error.
Mhm.
He should have, the whole base camp was covered in fog, and there was a misdirection, and he wasn't on the right bearing. He was on the right bearing, but about 2 miles off. And
Mhm.
in 2 miles off, there's the mountain. He literally flew directly into it. It was no warning, no warning. That was it. Yeah, I tried to, I used the expression "rock in the clouds" because that's an old flying hand expression. Back in 1945, just at the end of World War II, a B-25 flew into the Empire State Building. I don't know how that was to me. I remember it as a kid, but it literally flew in and it was stuck up there for until they rescued him. Well, everybody was killed, but that's called a rock in the clouds.
Yeah. Amazing,
He
amazing.
was flying through Manhattan, but it was all of Manhattan was covered in fog, and he literally flew into the Empire State Building. And
How old were you when this crash occurred that you were in?
I was 32 at the time.
Okay.
32. And this one, my daughters and wife were back in Rhode Island. I left them there. And there's a terribly humorous story about how they got notified of my injury. And my mother, who was waiting for news of my brother being married in Italy, said, while I'm crashing in Vietnam, my brother's being married in
Wow.
Italy. And
Wow.
so she's
Amazing.
waiting for a telegram to tell her what time he's coming into Logan with his new bride, which she's never met.
Right.
And so when the telegram came to the door, my mother said, "Oh, good, I've been looking for this." And she grabs it, and the guy must have thought he ran into the most callous mother in the world because she didn't realize it was a notification of my injury, and she stuffs it in her apron pocket, and
God.
she goes back in the other parlor to talk with her friends about her impending son's arrival, other son's arrival at home.
Right.
So no,
Amazing.
there was some funny parts of this.
Yeah,
Some
that is a funny part of it. Your mother doesn't realize that it's going to say your son's just survived a plane crash,
I
but he's
know.
injured. It's
And
like, wow,
she takes it,
amazing.
puts it in. She says, "Oh,
Puts
thanks.
it in the apron.
I've been waiting for this." No, she
Amazing,
wasn't.
amazing, amazing.
Uh,
Was that the end of your military career? Did you
no,
call it
no,
quits?
no, no.
No?
I
You went
decided
back for more.
I completed 27 years, had I hope a very good and interesting career after that, and uh, no, I joined Chiefs of Staff in the Pentagon, and yeah, Suzanne, I'll leave this alone.
Mm.
um, had some interesting. We had an exchange tour with the British Army for 2 years. I had my family over in England with me, and did a complete exchange with them. Um, that was a very interesting experience. Uh,
Yeah, I'm sure.
being treated like a Brit, and they integrated me completely in their army. It was
Yeah,
very good
yeah,
experience.
amazing. Do you feel that you were saved for a reason?
Oh, clearly, I spend a good part of the book explaining how I tried to resolve this in my mind, and I have my Judeo-Christian faith uh, gave me reason, an explanation. Yes, I do. As I say, I spend a lot of time explaining it in the book and how I ended up becoming a deacon in the Catholic Church following that. Um, but it sort of loses it's a tough explanation because folks will say, well, why were you saved and the others weren't? And I do offer an explanation in there, and it has to do with going to mass on the morning of the
Mm.
crash. And my friend Bob Ray, oh, that's another whole sub-story plot in the book. How Bob and I met at St. Lawrence University my first year before I went to West Point, and then we reunited 13 years later in Vietnam. And then we both end up going to communion that morning and then sitting next to each other on the airplane, and we both survive. I mean, that's my explanation,
Yeah,
but I wouldn't dare try and, beat somebody over the head with that explanation, but it
right.
certainly satisfies me. Um, why,
Satisfies me too. I
yeah.
believe in it. I'm a believer, and you're a person of faith. And I think somebody was watching over you that day of
Logan,
the crash.
I've just got to believe that.
Yeah,
When you look at the pictures of the airplane crashing, realize I survived that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And then both
amazing.
Bob and I ended up in the back of the airplane, which was very important
Yeah.
because people in front were all killed, and
Yeah.
we both. Well, I explained it in the book how we both ended up at the airfield that morning after going to communion, and then knowing we had seats, we just casually, when the airplane landed, it did a spin around, dropped the gate, and then all these guys, some of them going home after finishing their tour in Vietnam, they all rushed on the airplane. They filled in the front seats. Bob and I knew we had seats, so we just walked over to the airplane and walked in and got the last two seats on the airplane.
Yeah.
So what can I
Yeah.
say? It's hard to convince folks that I was given any special treatment, but I got to use that as explaining it to me and my family why
Yeah.
I survived.
Let me ask you this. Have you envisioned this book as a film, as a movie? Have you envisioned this book as a
Oh
movie?
my goodness, that would be a hard one. Uh, no, not really,
Yeah.
Logan. I got to be honest with you. No, I must admit, this my second book coming, and I don't want to make, but I'm writing a book about my father and his surviving a collision in World War One as a
Wow.
Navy armed guard on a oil tanker that collided with a British ship
Wow.
and burst into flames and killed most of the people on the British ship. My father survived in the burning water.
Mm.
They rescued by a British destroyer. Uh,
Yeah.
but that might make a film.
Yeah. Amazing, amazing. I think somebody up there loves the Tedeschi family because you and your father survived what many would view as unsurvivable circumstances.
I that thought crossed my mind.
Yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. You do have the crucifix over your shoulder. Somebody is
Yes.
looking out after you. The
Um,
name of the book we've been talking today about is A Rock in the Clouds, A Life Revisited. It is a gripping and faith-filled account of surviving tragedy and finding purpose. Colonel, thank you for your service, and thank you for joining me here today on GBN.
well, my pleasure. Thank you, Logan, for talking to me. Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate everything you've done for our country, and I appreciate this story so much. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford for the Global Book Network. So long for now.